So, good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to start a new topic in our subject of medical microbiology is fungal infections in humans. Okay, what are the most specific things that are included in this topic? Okay, when dealing with this particular topic named Introduction to Fungal Infection in Humans, you will be able to realize that what kind of infections are included, okay, what type of diseases they cause and how lethal they are, and how they are uh, treated. Okay, so what are the outcomes, what you'll be able to learn because of this? Students are expected to learn the fundamental applications of this particular topic employed in the field of medical microbiology. So, first of all, we must understand what is fungal infection. Okay, so fungal infections can affect anyone, right? They can appear on several parts of body, a jock with athlete's foot, a baby with thrush, a woman with vaginal yeast infection are just a few examples. Okay, these fungal infections are very common, and if we consider it in this rainy monsoon season, they are very common, and everyone is really prone to these type of infections. Right. So, fungi are microorganisms characterized by a substance in their cell wall called chitin. So, chitin is the substance that plays a very similar role to the cellulose that is in the plant cell. So, chitin provides them structural support and stiffness. Some fungi, like many types of mushrooms, are edible. Other type of fungi like Aspergillus can be extremely dangerous and lead to life-threatening disease. Right. So it goes in both the direction. Some fungi can be useful and edible, and some fungi are used to produce antibiotics, and some fungi can be extremely lethal when it comes to the pathogenic factors. Different types of fungi can cause fungal infections. In some cases, fungi that are not typically found on or inside your body can colonize it and cause an infection. So, how does it cause infection? What is the mechanism of infection? First of all, you must realize that very particular pathogen has to uh, invade your body. When this thing invades your body, this thing particularly start to colonizing your body, right? And after that, these things they increase their number, evading your immune system and host defense system. And after that, they start to release certain chemicals that are very extreme in conditions, and they call illness or disease. So this is how they cause infection. In other cases that are normally present or on or inside your body can multiply out of control and cause an infection. So once they have invaded inside your body, okay, they entered your body and they learn to how to evade your defense system, your WBCs and all those cells. So they start to flare up. Okay, they will eventually increase their number and they will spread out. Fungal infections can be contagious. Okay, in Hindi we call it छूत की बीमारी. Like जो छूने से फैलता है, it's very communicable. It can very easily spread from one person to another. They can spread from one person to another. In some cases, you can also catch disease-causing fungi from infected animals or contaminated soil surfaces. So, if your pet animal is also having such kind of infection or such kind of disease, then you can also very easily catch the very same infection. Okay, so fungal infections can be contagious. Uh, they can spread from one person to another. in some cases, you can also catch disease causing fungi from infected animals or contaminated soil surfaces. So, even the soil surfaces, they are having any of such dangerous fungi in them. Like, for example, the disease of mucormycosis was spreading, and it was caused because of the fungi that was already present in the soil and decaying plant material. And later on, the studies concluded that the spread of black fungus disease due to the lack of sanitation and lack of the use of sterilized material when the oxygen was given to the patients. If you develop signs or symptoms of fungal infections, make an appointment with your doctor. So, first of all, you must realize that whenever you are dealing with these kind of infections, okay, bacterial infection is somewhat very different. If you got a bacterial infection, you will immediately doctor will suggest you use this and this antibiotic, and it will be immediately cured within a couple of days. But when in the case of fungi, you must realize that fungi is not a prokaryote like bacteria. It's a eukaryote like us. Okay, and it has its own cell organelles. It has a chitinous structure, and these infections are very stubborn. They take times of weeks and months to go and to be cured. So these diseases are very dangerous. So common types. A fungal infection, also known as mycosis, although fungi are harmless to humans, some of them are capable of causing diseases under specific conditions. So fungi reproduce by releasing spores that can be picked by direct contact or even inhaled. So that's why fungal infections are most likely to affect your skin, nails, or lungs. So they can also penetrate your skin and affect your organs and very widely affect your whole immune system. So the main motive is that you must realize that what are the different uh, cause of these fungal infections and how these infections spread from uh, one person to another, right? So most probably you must realize that these fungi, they are very dangerous in nature, right? They are very crucial. They affect you very easily. They infect you very easily. So whenever it comes towards dealing with these infections, they can very much uh, be lethal in their cause. And mycosis is a simple term that is used to detect or to classify the infection caused by them. So whatever the type of fungi, mycosis will be implemented at the end of the thing, right? So if you take example of this black fungus, it is known as mucormycosis. So it is simply the term that elaborates the type of fungi and infection caused by it. It is mucor, and mycosis is the infection caused by it. So because of these things, you are able to understand the whole lethality and the complexity that is involved. So, because of that, you later on realize that these diseases, they are very common and they easily affect the individual. Okay, so because of this, these things are very much dangerous, and they do affect the individuals. Okay, just wait. So now coming on to the dermatophytes. As we have already revised way they cause infections and the way they cause the havoc on the individual. Now we are going to deal with dermatophytes. Okay. So the Greek derma mean in Greek derma means skin and phyton means plant. So in early days, these fungi were considered to be plants. Okay, so any disease caused by them was eventually called dermatophytes. So derma means skin and phyton means plant. Dermatophytes are fungi that require keratin for growth. Okay, these fungi can cause superficial infection of skin, hair, and nails. Dermatophytes are spread by direct contact from other people, right? Animals, anthropophilic organism, and animals, zoophilic organism, soil, geophilic organisms, as well as indirectly from fomites. These are small infectious agents. So, dermatophyte infection. A dermatophyte infection, also known as dermatophytosis or tinea, refer to a group of fungal infections that can affect the skin, hairs, and nails. So, substantially, what you must understand is that here the infection are caused in your skin, in your hair, and in your nails. Three things are being simultaneously affected. Okay, tinea infections are one of the most common cause of superficial fungal infections around the world and are distinguished by the area of body affected. So it can target your skin, it can target your hair, it can target your nails, and because of that, these things are required to be named. So, for instance, tinea corporis, that is ringworm, affects the arms, trunks, and legs. Tinea capitis, that is scalp ringworm. It will affect readily your scalp. Okay, affect the scalp and hair shafts. Tinea facie affects facial skin, and tinea cutis, that is jaw itch, affects the groin and inner thighs. Tinea pedis, that is athlete's foot, and tinea uh, manum affects the feet, hands, respectively. And tinea barbi affects facial follicles of bearded individuals. So here you can see that there is such a variety of infection caused by these dermatophytes. Okay, so whether the skin is the largest organ of your body that covers your body from head to toe, and because of that, if they are targeting your areas, so they can be of very what do you say? They can be of great variation. Okay, and they can readily infect you at every certain point. Dermatophytes nails infections are commonly known as dermatophyte onco, uh, onychomycosis or tinea unguium. Individuals with decreased immune response, older individuals, or children are at an increased risk of developing dermatophyte infection. Okay, if the individuals are having a very low level of immune defense system, their immunity is really weak, and if the young children, okay, uh, who are also being exposed to these kind of infections readily, they are also at the center of these type of disease. Other general risk factors include diabetes mellitus, poor circulation, and topical uh, corticosteroid use. So these things make you more prone to such infections. So dermatophytosis, because of dermatophytes require keratin for growth. They are restricted to hair, nail, and superficial skin. Okay, so they need keratin. Keratin are already they require keratin as a medium of growth in these areas. So keratin in human body is present in these areas, area of hair, nails, and superficial skin. Thus, these fungi do not infect mucosal surfaces. Okay, dermatophytes are referred to as tinea infection. So they will never enter inside your nose or lungs or internal body areas. They will always infect your skin that is present outside. They are also named as body sites involved. Some dermatophytes are spread directly from one person to another anthropophilic organism. Okay, others live in the transmitted and are transmitted to humans from soil, and still others spreads to humans from animals like zoophilic organisms. Transmission of dermatophytes can occur directly in the form of fomites, and anthropophilic organisms are responsible for most fungal infections, skin infections. Okay, most of the time they are transferred from person to person, animal to the person. Most probably, if that person or animal is already infected. Transmission can occur by direct contact or exposure. Okay, desquamated cells or direct inoculation through breaks in the skin occurs often in person with depressed cell-mediated immunity. Once fungi enter the skin, they germinate and invade the superficial skin layers. So, as you know that uh, they require keratin for their growth. In the area where creatine is not available, the creatine is not readily found, they will not at all grow in those areas. Okay. In patients with dermatophytosis, physical examination may reveal a characteristic pattern of inflammation called or termed as active border. Okay, the circular pattern occurs. The inflammatory response is usually characterized by a greater degree of redness and scaling at the edge of lesions or occasionally blister formation. Central clearing of the lesion may be present and distinguishes dermatophytosis from uh, papulosquamous eruptions such as psoriasis and lichen planus, in which the inflammation response tends to be uniform over lesion. So when this lesion formation takes place, as you can see there in this image, you can see this circular pattern it occurs. Most readily, these things are formed in the what you say. These are very itchy and they always have this inflammation, and it is caused because of this fungal infection. And whenever tinea corporis of axilla with an active border and central clearing. A satellite lesion is also present. So you can see there the infection is there also, infection is there also. Mainly they infect the areas that are rich in keratin protein, because they all require keratin for their production. Okay, so in this figure 2 you can see that annual lesion, okay, on the elbow with silvery scale and no central clearing. You can see that silvery scale is there. Potassium hydroxide microscopy of lesion was negative. So it was discovered as uh, having silvery border, okay, a silvery scale. Although the lesion resembles Tinea corporis, the presence of similar lesion on the extensor surfaces of the knee and a positive family history confirmed the diagnosis of psoriasis. The location of the lesions also can help identify the pathogens. Uh, a dermatophytosis can um, most likely to be ruled out of if a patient has mucosal involvement with an adjacent red scaly rash. If this area is invading the mucous membrane also, then it is a different case. In this situation, the more probable diagnosis of candidal infection, okay, if single or multiple fissures are present in the corner of the mouth, vulvovaginitis, or Belantis if lesions are present in the genital mucosa. So, if they are trying to enter the mucosal surfaces, then it opens up a new field. Okay, the potassium hydroxide (KOH) microscopy aids in visualizing hyphae and confirming the diagnosis of dermatophyte infection. Other diagnostic modalities include road swab examination, fungal culture, and skin or nail biopsy. So, what is potassium hydroxide microscopy? And you should know that. Okay, value. Uh, you must realize that what are the things involved in it. So, potassium hydroxide microscopy value aids in visualizing hyphae and confirming the diagnosis of dermatophyte infections. So, what is the procedure? Obtain scale from the active border of lesion, pull out several loose hairs from the affected area, or in the case of nails, obtain subungual debris. So sometimes the debris is taken, sometimes the hairs are pulled out from the infected area. A moist cotton swab is rubbed vigorously over the active border of the of a lesion, work as well as the scalpel blade or and is safer. So most of the time, a moist cotton swab is rubbed vigorously, or sometimes hairs are pulled out, or the skin is scratched, and transfer the scale, hair, or debris uh, to a glass slide, and add a few drops of 10 to 20% POH, potassium hydroxide, for nail material or hair. Gently warm the slide. The wet mount preparation is then examined under a microscope 400x with a back and forth rotation of the focus knob. This technique aids the visualization of hyphae as branching rod-shaped filaments of uniform width with lines of separation. Okay, septa will be what you say separating the compartments. In Tinea uh, capitis, the hair shaft may be uniform coated with minute dermatophyte spores. So now coming on to the other detection methods, as we have seen the KOH method. Now, what will be the method of Wood's lamp examination, and what are the things involved in that? Generally of limited usefulness because of the dermatophytes currently seen in the United States, the do not fluorescence may have value in the following situation. For diagnosis, a brown scaly rash in the scrotum or axilla, erythrosoma caused by bacterium, uh, Corynebacterium, fluorescence, a brilliant coral red, whereas Tinea curis or cutaneous candidal infections do not uh, fluorescent. Okay, they do not shine in the UV light. For diagnosis, uh, tinea versicolor, the fluorescence pale yellow to white. Okay, for diagnosis, tinea capitis caused by two zoophilic microsporum species that fluorescence blue-green. A minor percentage of tinea capitis cause cases in North America. So, a fungal culture, uh, uh, what is the value? Okay, value slow and expensive, but useful to confirm the diagnosis of onychomycosis when long-term oral therapy is being considered. Procedures: skin, nail, or hair scrapings are sent in the sterile container for inoculation on the support dextrose agar by a hospital or a reference laboratory. The culture usually takes 7 to 14 days to be declared positive. It must be held 21 days to be declared negative. So they are the pieces or the debris is taken from the infected person, and they are, what do you say, they are kept on the culture medium, and because of that, they are for declaring positive. They should be cultured under the required conditions of the time period of 7 to 14 days, and it must be cultured for 21 days if the no growth is being shown. Skin or nail biopsy value may guide treatment decisions when the diagnosis is difficult to establish. A dermatophyte infection has not responded to a previous treatment, or KOS microscopy is negative in a patient with dystrophic nails. So here you can see the background, risk factor, and the types. So if we study this diagram, what are the things that we see? Fungal infections that can affect hair, skin, and nails. Dermatophytes, a group of filamentous fungi, require keratin for growth. Okay, dermatophytosis and tinea. One of the most common cause of superficial fungal infections. Right. So, what are the risk factors? Decreased immune response, age. Uh, it mainly affects elderly people and children. If the person is having diabetes, mellitus, and poor circulation, and corticosteroid use, then the person is more prone to catching these infections. So, what are the basic types of uh, fungi that are involved? Right, their types include Taenia capitis that readily affects scalp ringworm disease. Okay, Taenia facies affects the face. Taenia barbi affects the beard. Taenia corpus, that is also known as ringworm. Taenia Manimum affects the hands. Tinea unguemum affects the uh, nails. Tinea uh, Percuris affects that is jockage, and tinea pedis that is caused by the athlete's foot disease or fungi. So because of these things only, these fungal infections, these things are affected, right? So these fungal infections are readily caused, and these fungal infections uh, are some people are most likely to get such type of infections. So we have also classified them. So what causes dermatophyte infection? So dermatophyte infection are caused by dermatophytes, a group of filamentous fungi that is required keratin for its growth. Keratin is a family of structural protein that is found in hairs, nails, and outermost layer of the skin. So all these things, these type of diseases, they readily travel from one person to another, and they are very contagious. Zoophilic dermatophytes primarily infect animals, although they can occasionally spread to humans by direct contact. Finally, geophilic dermatophytes grow in keratin-rich soil containing decaying feathers, horns, and hairs. So, if we classify the soil type, that is again having such cases of uh, dermatophyte, potential dermatophyte infection, is the soil that is already rich in decaying feathers, horns, and hairs. So it will readily grow in such soil condition, and if you get into such soil, or if you comes in contact of it, then you are more likely to catch this dermatophyte infection. Human infection by zoophilic and geophilic dermatophytes is less common and causes more severe inflammatory tinnitus. What are the signs and symptoms of dermatophyte infection? Signs and symptoms of dermatophyte infections vary depending upon the infectious organism affected area and the severity of infection. Most infections tend to be superficial and localized to a specific body part, such as feet, scalp, or nails. However, simultaneously presence of more than one type of tinea is also very common. So, and can occur directly spreading from one area to another. In addition, tinea infection can become complicated by secondary bacterial infections, which occur when different opportunistic bacteria infect the lesion caused by dermatophyte. Because these pathogenic bacterial diseases or these pathogenic fungal diseases, they have a pattern. Okay, first of all, when these type of diseases are being caused, these types of infections are being caused. So there is a similar pattern that whenever such kind of disease uh, has a host, most probably that host is having a weak immune system. Okay, the host is not readily able to defend itself from infection, and as a result of that, as a result of that infection, that very host is not able to defend itself clearly. So, although he or she might be suffering from the fungal infection, due to its weakness in the immune system, some bacteria, opportunistic bacteria, can also find a chance to infect the host. Okay, it is like that. This person is not able to defend himself of fungi. Now, the bacteria are also trying to find a way to infect him or her. So, it is very essential and very important for us to keep our immune system up to the mark. And if you are having any of such infection, you must try to uh, m- maintain a good immune system, take a balanced diet, Always consult the doctors and always treat such infections in time because fungal infections, if they flare up, they are not at all easy to cure. Okay, they do take a considerable amount of time. They do take a very long time in order to get cured. So they are not at all easy to cure like bacterial infections that I have already told you. Tinea corpus. Tinea corporis is also known as ringworm, typically present with a round red itchy rash that has inflamed scaly border. These lesions tend to grow uh, in an outward pattern, creating a characteristic ring-like appearance, hence the name ringworm. So, if this uh, type of fungus affects you or infects you, you will have the infected area in the form of uh, ringworm. Okay, it will be in the form of red itchy rash and it will be in the form of a ring. So, it is the name has been given ringworm. Healthy individuals are typically present with one or more of these lesions, whereas individuals with a decreased immune response are at risk of developing more invasive and widespread infections. So, if the person is healthy and he got the infection, he might have one or two lesions or infected area. If the person is immunocompromised or elderly or a baby, then they might have much more widespread infection. Okay. Granuloma, also known as fungal folliculitis, is a rare form of Tinea corporis that occurs when dermatophytes penetrate the skin through damaged hair follicles, cause a deep skin infection. In otherwise healthy individuals, Mazzocchi granuloma presents with small skin lesions and inflamed hair follicles in the area that are prone to trauma, such as legs, arms, and ankles. So they always target the areas which receive maximum damage. Okay, that is our legs and arms. We are constantly using them. Most of the bruises and cuts they appear in those areas. Meanwhile, individuals with a decreased immune response may present with more severe manifestations, such as deep subcutaneous uh, plaques, plaques, and nodules. So, their main aim is that they are always targeting the individuals who are weak, the individuals who cannot defend themselves clearly. Tinea capitis, tinea facie, fascia, tinea barbi. So, tinea capitis can either be inflammatory or non-inflammatory depending on the causative microorganism. Inflammatory tinea capitis can present with a pus, lump, or a scale that may leave the localized area of scarring and permanent hair loss. Right? If the area is infected, then the area will be uh, uh, then the area must be uh, affected by the permanent hair loss and other changes. Okay. On the other hand, non-inflammatory tinea capitis can present with itchiness, scaling, and reversible hair growth. Tinea faciae affects the facial skin and can sometimes occur from direct spreading of a scalp infection, especially in children. It is generally present with a skin rash that worsens after sunlight exposure. Additionally, tinea barbi affects the hair follicles and skin of bearded individuals and can present with areas of increased redness, scaling, and pus-filled lesions. Tinea pedis and tinea manum. Tinea pedis is also known as athlete's foot, present with areas of scaling as well as the softening and breaking of the skin in the spaces between toes and the soles of feet. Less frequently, tinea pedis can present with erosions and painful open sores between the toes. Tinea manum can occur in individuals with tinea pedis due to direct spreading of the infection from the feet to the hands. So every time you see that they have a particular pattern, it is typically present in with the dry skin in the palms of the hands and the skin rash with inflamed scaly borders on the back of the hand. Tinea ongium. Dermatophyte nail infections, tinea ongium, can cause white or yellow discoloration of the nails, as well as either thickened or brittle nails. Severe nail infections can cause complete breakdown of the nail itself, uh, which can then become separated from the nail bed. Generally, toenails are more often affected uh, than fingernails, and individual nails are sometimes spared. So, you must understand what is the scenario of these diseases. So, coming on to uh, the MCQs of these dermatophyte. In human beings, the fungal infection is known as a fungosis, mycosis, mucrosis, and micromelia. The correct answer is mycosis. Which of these is not a casual organism for ringworm? The correct answer is a microsporum. Okay, rest of others are known as casual organisms that can cause you ringworm. In humans, a causative agent of ringworm is fungi. Because of fungi, only these ringworm diseases are caused. Which of the classification of a group of fungi having septate mycelium, wherein sexual reproduction either is unknown or absent, is Phycomycetes. In children, this leads to epidemic ringworm of the scalp. Uh, Microsporum causes this type of disease in humans. And in humans, the fungus that can cause a disease is Aspergillus. Okay, it is fully capable of causing disease in humans. Who is honored with the title Father of Modern Mycology? The correct answer is B. D. Barry. So, what is the ringworm of the scalp cord? Ringworm of the scalp cord is Tinea uh, unguium. Appearance of scaly dry lesions with the sense of itch on different body parts and symptoms of ringworm disease. Okay, for fungus, the culture media is uh, Sabots medium. Most of the time, they require a lot of dextrose and keratin to grow. So this ends. This marks the end of our lecture, and these are the references from where we have collected the material. Okay. I hope you enjoyed our lecture. Thank you so much.